Welcome to Solutions with Courtney Anderson. I'm Courtney Anderson. This is the 194th episode of this show. Wow. Thank you for being part of the program, part of our community. This 194th episode is part of the Joyful Art of Business series. That's a series where we're talking about business, not a specific type of business. So it could be a volunteer or a paid position. It could be you're an employee. It could be you're a business student. It could be you're a business owner. The point simply with the Joyful Art of Business is that whatever it is that we do professionally, we just call that business, we bring something uniquely special from us. We call that our art. And we want to ensure that we're getting a return on our investment of our time and that our emotional and psychological well-being is monitored. So how do we feel? Ideally, overall, we need to feel better. Not every second is going to be thrilling, but overall, we feel good about it. If you wake up and you think, oh, I got to do whatever it is I do for work and I hate it, my stomach hurts and my head hurts, I don't want to go there, I wish I could quit, then you know what? We're not anywhere near joy, and we need to make a change. We need to start getting our plans together to change. Otherwise, we're going to live like this and we're going to die like this. Miserable and unhappy. So, this is a very important series, and of course, practicing the Joyful Art of Business is one of my fundamental principles I talk about all the time. I do want to encourage you to come to CourtneyAnderson.com. CourtneyAnderson.com. That's our central website, and that's where we have every single one of these shows, all 194 shows. We have an individual web page for each show. It's got links to show notes. It's also got additional material. We have this program, which is our talk show, our radio audio podcast. We also have a companion version, which is the television or video talk show. So those are linked there. So please make sure you check those out. And we're going to be continuing to roll out new shows constantly. We have a blog where we have articles, where we have, for those who might be interested, you never know, but I've gotten feedback that people want to know more about me. So some of it's just sort of personal stuff from my life or ideas or things I'm doing, but it's really important that you know how much I appreciate you. And so as we tested this program for a while to see how it would work. It's been incredibly well received and successful. We're now expanding the show, the website. We have our show sponsors. I do want to encourage you, when you come to CourtneyAnderson.com, you're going to see different ads and links. Those are sponsors that we've entered into revenue relationships with, and it's part of how we're growing our everything that we're doing. And so please, if you see something on the site and you think, I wanted to buy that, then click on that from our website, on that link, and make sure that our show sponsors know that you came from our website when you make that purchase. I do want to ask you to leave ratings and reviews on iTunes or Stitcher or Libsyn or Spreaker. What are those? They're different distribution channels that are around the world. And I want to let our global audience, so now that we've expanded this and I'm moving to do everything I can to add the infrastructure necessary to help the show and to help our web resources. So the shows, we're also going to be adding online seminars and courses. So to do all that, I need more data. And so I'm getting better data as we are growing our resources for you. And I see like the most amazing data. Then we have people in New Zealand. I'd like to thank you for joining us. In China, thank you so much. Brazil and Argentina, thank you. Trinidad and Tobago, thank you so much. I'm just, what am I doing? I'm listing some of our global community members around the world. I see the data where people are joining us, and it's super exciting. South Africa, I'm just, thank you. And of course, in anywhere else in the world, it means so much to me. So here we are, Joyful Art of Business, episode 194. I encourage you to stop by our show page at CourtneyAnderson.com. I'm trying to make sure I'm getting all the... I'm also supposed to make sure that I always ask you to share on social media anything that you find helpful from our program. So get out there and do that. And I have very recently, and I do mean really recently, I have joined some of the social media myself. So you can find me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter And make sure I remember this correctly. And I'm so new, but I'm on Twitter at Zealous Business. Zealous Business. And that's exactly right, because I am a zealous person and I'm zealous about business, and it's perfect. So, Twitter, I'm at Zealous Business. All right. So, specifically in our show today, and I love this episode topic. Our episode topic is you don't need to be the best. You just need to be there. You don't need to be the best. You just need to be there. Just be there. Just show up in life. All right, so this, like I said, this show topic. Okay, so how many times have you and I been talking to somebody and they're complaining, right? So we try to limit the complaining thing, but it's life, right? And somebody's saying, "Oh, I can't believe I saw that movie. That movie was horrible. That movie was awful. That was a bad movie." Or they'll be talking about a singer and they'll say, "Oh, they're horrible. They're a horrible singer. I can't believe I saw them on TV. They're horrible." Or they'll be talking about a politician and they'll say, "Oh, how did they get elected? They're horrible. They're just awful." Okay. How did somebody make a bad movie? How does somebody who can't sing get to be a famous singer? How does somebody who, in your estimation, is a horrible person in terms of being a problem solver get to be a politician in charge of solving problems? How do they do it? Often because of this exact show topic. They just show up. And the really weird thing about life, and you know what? One of the reasons we don't complain, by we, you and I, are community members, is because we're out doing stuff. You know, we talk about the practicing the joyful art of business, but we also spend a lot of time talking about surpassing our goals, right? I mention that all the time because that's the purpose of this. It's the purpose of the show. It's the purpose of my teaching. It's the purpose of everything that we're doing. So if you're out living your own life and you're living your own dream, then you're not sitting around complaining about how horrible something else was, because you realize, first of all, that you're doing what you want to do. If you really wanted to make movies and, I don't know, be a director or an actor or screenwriter or a person who makes soundtracks, I don't care what it is. If you wanted to do that, you would go do it. So you wouldn't be that person who just walks around all the time complaining. "Oh, they're horrible. I can't believe them. They're the worst. They're so stupid." Hey, here's the deal. They showed up. And if you think you could do it better than they can, why aren't you there? Seriously. And it's interesting, as I mentioned in earlier, that I'm just exploring. And I'll be very honest. The only reason I'm exploring social media or more of an internet presence for the show and tangentially for myself is because of the show, and because it's now that we've done this and we're growing the program, we have you and community members that we're responsible for, and we need to be able to have the resources to provide you the best content. And so that's the only reason I would ever go onto social media. One, because I'm an introvert, so I'm not somebody who spends a lot of time thinking about what other people are doing, unless there's somebody that I know. And if that's the truth, or my friend or someone I care about in my life, then I'm either with them in real life, or I'll just reach out and individually contact them. I'm not going to go look on the internet to see what other people are doing, because it's just not how my mind works. One of the things that, as we've looked into having to make sure that we're doing all that we can to serve you in a community by being present in more web outlets and expanding what we do more prominently, right? It opens up this whole dilemma. What about people who go on the internet and all they do is basically, they complain about how horrible and dumb and stupid and yucky things are by posting comments, right? And sometimes they're called trolls, right? They're on the internet like a troll under a bridge, in a little in a child's story. They're out there, and they're gonna cause pain and destruction in life, right? By just being mean and cruel. Fine, My point is the same point I had as I said earlier in the show. If you're gonna complain about how stupid they are and how dumb their video is and how stupid, their show is and how that's the worst podcast ever or whatever, which is totally in many parts of the world you have the legal right, free speech, which I believe in. I support that. You have the right to say whatever you want to do. But like I say to people in my real life, if you think that's a bad movie, if you think they're a horrible singer, first of all, don't go to the movie and don't, listen to their music and don't download their songs. And other than that, if you think you can do better, then do it. Put up or shut up. Most people who complain and spend their lives on that kind of stuff, they're not doing anything. That's why they have the time. You and I, most of our community members, we sit around and create and share knowledge about education and finance and business and management and human resources. Look at the stuff we're doing. We don't even have time to go out and do that other stuff, and we also, more importantly, don't have the interest in it. I'm not going to go out and slam somebody else. Here's the thing: if I want to do something, I'll try it. If I don't have any talent, let's say that I think, I'm going to be a great movie maker. Now, I've never even tried or thought about that, but let's just say I tried and I realized, I'm horrible at this. Well, if I really loved it, I would just do it as a hobby. And they would be maybe cult classics where people would say, they're really horrible, but they're so horrible, they're art. You know what I mean? And there are people who do that. I'm not going to be rich. I'm not going to be, winning an Academy Award, or, the Cannes Film Festival. But I'll tell you what, I could do it and love it and make me happy in one way or another. But I never am going to sit around. If there's something I am interested in or have an idea about or passion for, I'm just going to get out and do it. So I don't go, saying bad things about other people because I don't have the time and I don't have the interest. If I thought I could sing better than they can, I would go out and do it. If I thought I could make a better movie, I would go do it. If I thought I could be a better politician, I'd run for office. Now, none of those do I think I could do, or have I had the interest. But who knows? I'm not going to sit around and go insult somebody else who is trying, because you know what? They showed up and you didn't. So shut up. The issue with this show topic is that is part of what we're discussing. People who are just out there, who are just their own insecurities and fear and apprehension, and they think they can inflict pain on other people. But the truth is, you can only inflict pain on somebody who's willing to accept it. And we have many programs where we talk about you're not going to accept it, so that doesn't work with us. We also have the point that we're living life. We're so busy living life and surpassing our goals and practicing the joyful art of business. We don't even notice stuff like that, because usually we don't even see it. And if we do, okay, whatever, fine. People have the right to say and feel and think and write whatever they want, but that's a waste of their own resources. This show topic, you don't need to be the best, is also talking to the other population who their fear of not being good enough. Right? So there's one group who's just totally insecure and fearful of everything. And so they're so fearful and they become bitter and angry, and then they go out and try to hurt other people. So we want to feel empathy for them, because we know that that's a painful life to lead. We also realize that the time that they take to go be abusive and cruel is also time. Complaining is time that they wasted, that they stole from themselves, that they could have been doing something that would have brought them a little bit of joy. So we feel sad for that. But beyond that, hoping that they get the resources to change their own lives is all we can do. The other side of the coin is there's people who don't do anything. They don't show up. They're not there because they're obsessed with this focus on being the best. I won't do it unless it's right. I won't try out unless I know I'm good enough. I did a show, and I'm linked to it. We've got a show page for every show and all of our different online articles and resources. So on CourtneyAnderson.com, on the show page for 194, I have links to some of the other shows where we talk about some of the concepts related to this topic. This whole idea, we did a show saying that you have to apply for jobs you don't think you're qualified for. And the main reason people don't apply for jobs is because they get caught up on, I'm not good enough. I'm not going to apply for a job unless I know I'm the best. First of all, as I talked about in that program at length, you never know who else applied. So you may be the best of who showed up. That's how you get the person who's a horrible movie maker or just not a good problem solver as your politician. That's how they get those jobs, because there were other people who would have made a better movie. There were other people who would be a much better problem solver and government official, but they didn't even show up. They didn't show up, and because the only people that showed up, that was the best of the group, or that was the group, the people that responded and said, "Oh yeah, I'm available. I can make a movie. Oh yeah, I have time. I'll run for politics. Run for office." They're the ones who said they do it. They showed up. You have to show up in life. I've mentioned it in numerous programs. No, there's no such thing as the best. Perfection doesn't exist. There may be little fleeting times, and I mean fleeting, where at the Olympic Games, you for the moment were the gold medalist in that one event at that one day. That's fleeting. So it doesn't even exist, first of all. So what a waste of time and resources. You just need to be. And every time that you lament, because I do that. Now, I'm not somebody, I've literally never in my life gone and posted comments on the internet or wrote letters to the editor before the internet complaining about something, how stupid I thought somebody was. I've never done that. I don't usually really complain that much, but I do lament. I'm like everybody, or I'll watch a movie. I watched a movie the other night, and I can't remember what it was, obviously, because it was not good, but it was so not good, it wasn't even fun. A lot of times I watch a movie intentionally thinking this is not going to be good, but it's campy. Like it's funny. So I enjoy it. I didn't even enjoy this. I can't even remember what it is. But I don't, so I'll think to myself, or I'll say to whoever I'm watching the movie with, man, that was not good, right? But I leave it at that. That's not anything I've ever thought about in my own career. I admire anybody who steps up to the plate. And then I'll just make a better decision next time and when I pick my movie to watch. But this thing of the fear of being the best, it doesn't exist. And if it does, it's for little fleeting moments. So yeah, you were the best at that Olympics, not for all time. You're going to be beat again the next time, that you get out there at some point. And we've talked about in other programs. We have programs. We talked about regret. We talk about people who get caught in the past, right? We did a show where people feel like they peaked, like whatever the best in their life was, it already happened. That's ridiculous. You're here, so this is it. This is the best today because it's the only today. Because there's not going to be another day on the calendar with the same date, because it'll be a different year. And this is it. So as I said, this isn't. We don't have the ability to go over all the things we've gone over in all these other shows, but go check some of the links out on the show page that are other programs that address some of this obsession and misunderstanding regarding the best and perfection and not qualified and not good enough and all this kind of garbage, because it's a huge hindrance to getting stuff done in life. And it is part of the reason why all of society suffers. When you do see that person in politics, or that person who made that horrible movie, and you think, they really hurt society, especially stuff like politics, leadership, management. You think, well, how are they the manager? Well, they showed up. They applied. You didn't. And I don't mean this flippantly. There's actually really interesting data on how hard it is. Now, it's different in different parts of the world, but this is sort of a human thing that a lot of people that would probably be really good leaders don't want to lead. So they don't show up, and they don't even bother to say, I'll try to be the leader or the manager or the executive. They don't want to do it because of the hassle. Part of it sometimes is because people don't want to listen to all the complaining and the whining. And they think I can do whatever I do without the whining and the hassle, and I have less stress, and I'm happier. So why am I going to go run for office? Why am I going to go for be the vice president of the company? I'm pretty good doing what I'm doing now. I'll just get more hassle. Now, I would argue that to benefit all of humanity, that we work to limit the hassle part, and that we maximize getting the best. When we get really unqualified people, then we all suffer. Now, it might just be that we suffered through a bad movie that we fell asleep in, but when it comes to some other stuff, I really do want the best surgeon. I really want the best pilot on the plane I'm on. I want the best teacher. I want the best plumber. I know last year, I'll never forget, I had a problem with some of the electrical wiring. I bought a house, and and that wasn't a problem necessarily, but it was trying to get the wiring hooked up with the internet and the alarm and all this stuff. And they kept, I don't even remember how many technicians came to my house. And clearly none of them knew what they were doing. And there was one technician, the last technician that came. And I just had a feeling, because I was asking questions, and he actually knew answers. And I had a feeling, I thought maybe he's the one. He's the one that knows how to do his job, because the other ones didn't. And finally he did, and that was it. And everything's been working perfectly ever since then. Now, if he'd come the first time, my life would have been beautiful. I would have had so much less stress. You know how much time I wasted on having all these different technicians come out, and because I couldn't get stuff set up correctly and it wasn't working. I mean, like, had somebody who knew what they were doing been there the first time, everything would have been so much better for me, for the utilities, everything, right? But it didn't happen. We all suffer when people who really aren't qualified do stuff, but the reality is that's who showed up. That's who was like, oh, I'll apply for that job. Oh, okay, I'll show up to work. Oh, okay, I'll go out on that service call to that customer. That's who did it. That's who showed up. They get credit for showing up. So I'm simultaneously arguing two things. I am arguing this. We community members, you and I, we are interested in trying to be better. Not the best, because it doesn't exist, but better, right? We make mistakes. We constantly struggle with things, and we're trying to enjoy our lives. So I would ask that we do consider being of service for others, and we have a show where we talked about that. I mention it all the time, right? For being a giver. As you mature and find a way to share your talents and your expertise with people, so we don't just shy away because we think it's such a hassle and a headache. I mean, it might be that, yeah, at a really poorly run company it would, in a country that had really poor infrastructure it would, but maybe if we had good government, if we have good corporate infrastructure, we might say, okay, I'll be an executive here because it works well, and they have policies and practices and a culture that supports good leadership. Then yeah, step up. And for those and we also need to work to try to reform those places that aren't working like they should. But the really encouraging thing about this show topic that I love, and it is so accurate in my personal experience in my own life, just show up. You know how many things in life, just because I showed up, oh, look at that opportunity. And it could be a fun, like just a social fun thing. Oh, that was cool. Or it could be, a professional thing that happened. Wow. Just because I showed up. Yeah. Nobody else did. Or of the people that showed up, you were the one that sort of seemed like you were awake or knew what you were talking about. Maybe, I don't know, who knows? Sober. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. All you have to do is just be. You just need to be there. We did a program, and again, I linked to it in the show notes, where we talked about, instead of using the word try, you're going to use the word do. Right? Because we get so many discussions, and I've done coaching and mentoring with one-on-one with people for years, and there's so many discussions where people get caught in these loops, and I'm going to try that, or I'm really going to try that. And I didn't understand when people used that word, that what they meant was, I'm not going to do anything. Because when I use the word try, usually what that means is, oh, I've researched and I have a plan, and I'm going to roll out over the next 6 weeks, like a project, or I'm going to go research this. Like, I really mean like I'm doing it, but we're not using the same word the same way. So in that program, I asked people to use the word do when they're going to do stuff, and then when they're not going to do stuff, just say, I'm not going to do it. Don't say I'm going to try. Just say I'm not going to do that. Because people get confused if they think that you're using the word try, meaning you actually are doing it, when you really just meant, no, I'm not doing it at all. But I was just going to say try, meaning that I thought about it. So that was another show. I asked you to think about this. Here's what the deal is. You need to show up in your own life. And I understand that there are other people who you think are, and who probably are in terms of their behavior and their outcomes, really incompetent and sometimes stupid. We did a program about that, right? Idiots are awesome. We talked about the benefits of working with an incompetent person. I'm not kidding. You have to show up for your own life. The first part of this show topic, you don't need to be the best, means get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. The best doesn't exist. We've already examined that. So there's no reason for you not to go to the second part of the show topic, which says you just need to be. And then I put in parentheses there. You need to just show up. And you need to show up for your own life. So all of the types of things people will share with me, oh, I want to do that, and I was thinking about it, and I got some of the applications because I was gonna try and apply. Come on, do it. You need to be there. Now, the reality may be that you're frightened, that you're apprehensive, that you have anxiety. We need to treat and deal with those things. And you may be able to do that on your own, or you may need additional family or friends or people in what I call the community of caring. People in your community of caring are people who pass the test that your happiness is their happiness. You may also need professionals. There are people who spend their entire lives studying and learning how to help us, you and I, all of us, ensure emotionally, psychologically, mentally, that we're the most healthy that we can be. We need to take advantage of all of these resources. So it's going to be an individual combination of factors that are going to help you and I get to a place where we're, okay, I'm ready for my own life. I'm showing up for my own life. I'm going to be there. And the hardest part in life is just this, is the showing up part. Once you show up, actually, it's much easier. And I mentioned where people complain in the public about, something in pop culture or someone in the public eye, right? A performer or an entertainer or an athlete. Oh, I forgot, right? Somebody watches a professional sporting and then they just freak out sometimes. Oh, I can't believe they missed that, whatever, hit or kick or goal or whatever. Oh, and they're all so upset. And it's like, first of all, have you ever done anything like that? Second of all, they're there. They showed up. You didn't. And I said before, put up or shut up. And here's the point. There's a show, there's a note in the show notes that is a quote from a former president of the United States, and I mean from historically, Theodore Roosevelt. And so it's from a speech he gave in France, and it's known as the Man in the Arena speech. And basically in this quote, which is on the show notes, he's talking about, it's not the critic who counts. Right? This is my, of course, interpretation of it, but basically it's a version of, the person who showed up and put it all out there, risked everything. That's the person. Yeah, and maybe they really weren't qualified. Maybe they're a horrible singer, or maybe they're the worst athlete that you've ever seen to play that sport. But they did. They put it all out there and they sacrificed and they showed up. My interpretation of that is I admire that person. I admire that person even if I did sit there and sleep through that movie and think that's a horrible movie. I'm never going to watch one of their movies again. I still admire them because you know what? They showed up and they're in their own life. They showed up for their own life. They're doing all of this sideline stuff, right? I don't actually mind that they're critics so much because, like I said, I'll have my own opinion on all kind of things. You can ask me, I will pontificate about all kind of stuff that I have no qualifications to talk about, and I don't even really know, right? I'm at a museum and I'm speaking about an exhibit, or this is what I think of this sculpture. Whatever. I am entitled to my opinion, right? As I said, I'm not someone who goes out and publicly or individually, attacks or insults people because I don't have the time. I'm living my own life, and B, what would be the point? And that's really, really destructive. And I'm trying not to do destructive things. I'm trying to practice joyful art business. But my point is, the people on the sidelines of life are the ones who they missed out on their own life. You would have been happier if you just went up, if you just showed up. And you know what? You may have been the worst assistant manager that place has ever seen. In fact, you may have been so bad they fired you. But I'll tell you what, though, when you look back in life, and when we did the show about regrets, right, that I mentioned earlier, and I made the point that I don't have regrets. Here's a lot of why. I may be too incompetent or obtuse to understand. That's part of it. Some people would, I'm sure, say, "Well, you're too stupid." Okay, you don't even understand that you should be regretful. Maybe that's accurate. I don't know. My perception is this, though: if there's something that I wanted to do or something that I wanted to try, I have done it. Now, I didn't do it well necessarily. I may have done it and tried and been a catastrophic failure. Like I said, I may have been fired, but I learned a lot. And I also learned this. I showed up. I trust myself. I also learned that when you show up and you fail, because that's why a lot of people, right? They don't, well, I don't want to go if I'm not the best. What if I fail? Because they're, and what if you fail? Then what? The next day, guess what? The sun will come up again. And as long as you're alive, you have another chance. At what? At whatever it is you want to do. That's life. Failure is in a way fulfilling because you're alive and you're doing stuff. Yeah, it didn't work out. We have a whole series on the in this show, the failure flashback series, where I publicly, some would say, humiliate myself and just talk about specific things I can remember failing. To do a couple things. One, to help people understand that we all fail constantly. And the other thing is to maybe share if I learned anything from it. But the point I really learned is that you just go. You just jump. I say this to people all the time. They, I would, or I'm thinking, I just, okay. Here's the thing in life. I look at it like a swimming pool. And as I've shared in other programs, I do love swimming, right? So it's something I've done since I was a kid, and I love swim. I was, on swim club or swim team, not any good, not athletically talented, but I do love swimming. And usually when I have a pool at my place where I live, I try to get out and do my laps because I really love it. It's one of my favorite exercises. I just love it. Okay. All that's to say this. I imagine life is like a swimming pool, right? And it's got a deep end and a shallow end. What I'm saying is this. We're going to go and we're going to jump in the deep end. Now, I understand that we may jump in the deep end and we may hate it. Now, let me put a caveat. You need to make sure that you've been trained as a swimmer. Just basic swimming, not just so that, for your safety. People do, drowning is not a joke. Okay. So life is like a swimming pool. So you're going to jump in the deep end. Now, I look at it like this. If you jump in the deep end and it turns out it was horrible, then all you're going to do is go over and to the side of it's a pool, it's a swimming pool. Just swim over to the side and hold onto the wall. And then just pull yourself out or just pull yourself down to the shallow end and then walk out. Like whatever you need to do. You're not going to stay there. First of all, you may jump in the deep end and realize this is horrible. You may love it, but realize it was horrible. And there's things that I love like that. I love bowling. I love it. I'm horrible at bowling. My score is horrible. The last time I went bowling, I was having a ball. I just love all of it. I love the noise of the pins and the bowling. I just love it, right? I love the shoes. But I love the pull, like the form. I love the holding of the ball. The thing is, I'm not any, I turn my wrist the wrong way and, my score, it goes in the gutter. Sometimes it actually falls on the floor, the bowling ball. The last time I went, a little kid who was playing in the lane next to me came over and tried to help me as an old lady relative to him being a little kid. He just felt sorry for me because I'm such a bad bowler. The thing is, I'm so enthusiastic about it. You know what I mean? I love it. There's a lot of things like that I'm enthusiastic as all get out, but I'm not even somebody who needs to just recreationally be there because the little kid was feel sorry for me. I still love it. I'll still go as much as I can. Just jump in the deep end. If it doesn't work and you're horrible at it, even though you love it, then trust me, other people will say to you, hey, we appreciate your enthusiasm. This is exactly what people say to you, in fact, because this is what they say to me. They'll say, we appreciate your enthusiasm. And they mean that because I always, if I'm enthusiastic, I'm enthusiastic. You can tell. And they'll say, we appreciate your enthusiasm. And then they'll go on and explain, usually in a nice way, that it's just not the right place for me. So someone may say to me, we appreciate your enthusiasm, but we don't want you in our bowling league. Team because you're not good enough. And they'd be telling the truth. That doesn't mean I can't bowl. It just means I need to go bowl with other people who don't care if we win or how well we do. And so what I do in life is try to tell people when I go into stuff that I already know because I jumped in the deep end before there and I know that I'm not going to be talented or effective, but I'm just going to be happy. I tell them up front, like, I'll do this, but don't get mad at me because I don't have any talent. And then people have an opportunity ahead of time, hopefully, to say, oh, okay, well, we're really serious about this. So you don't need to be in our, knitting group because you're a horrible knitter or something. Then that's okay. I'll just go join the group of people who just do it like I do for fun. But I show up. And that's why I don't have regrets because I know I'm not exaggerating. If I've dreamed it, I've done it. I'm serious. And sometimes I've done it and it was better than I thought it would turn out. And I'm like, wow. Right? And I'm treading water and then I'm in the deep end and I'm having such a good time. I stay there and other people are like, yeah, you're so good, stay in the deep end. That happens sometimes, rarely, but it does. The majority of the time I get in the deep end and I realize that I didn't even like it because I hadn't even tried it before. And if it was horrible, then I just go over to the side of the wall. I'm safe again, and then I get out. So you name something, and I can tell you that you don't have any, there's no real risk in stuff. Just show up. If you really are horrible, then trust me, they'll let you know. Even when they let you know nicely, they'll let you know this isn't the thing for you, right? Or they'll move you toward a way you can do it where it's not, with people who are taking it seriously. You may try something and jump in the deep end and realize, I don't like this at all. This is not even what I thought it would be. I thought it would be something super awesome, and now I've done it and it was less than awesome. Then great, then get out. But why not jump? And remember, we already answered, you're not going to drown. So it's a pool and you have flotation devices on if you're frightened of that analogy. You're not going to drown, okay? But jump. And then see. Most of the time, it's amazing stuff that you really thought that you would be like, that would be the thing for you, and then you do it and you're like, this was not even the thing for me. I don't even like this. Then you know. But you did it. You showed up. You were there. You were present for your own life. The only person that you cheat, that you steal money and resources from is yourself when you refuse to show up in your own life. And if you're one of those people on the sidelines, whether you're a vocal, kind of abusive critic or troll, or you're just one of that passive, quiet critic. Oh, I'm not good enough. I never would be able to get out there and try. Who did you hurt? You hurt you. You didn't hurt anybody else. And you look at something like some of these reality TV shows, and I mean around the world, you know what I'm talking about. And you look at the archetype, right, of the person who comes to the reality singing show, and they look at her and they think, well, that's not somebody young, or that's not somebody that's, looks like a supermodel, or that's not somebody who looks like they're a performer. And then they open up their mouth and it's beautiful, right? We all have seen that. We've seen these types of artists. And in a way, they become very powerful because they represent that we all could do it, right? Now, here's the thing. We can't all do it because we don't all have those same vocal talents. What we could all do, though, is jump in the deep end in your own places. You may go out for the reality television show as a singer, and they may say to you, "You're horrible. You really can't sing at all." And then here's the thing: but you did it, and you had fun. Now you know. But can you imagine if you didn't even try? Like I said, you hurt yourself mostly, but you do hurt society because society never would have had the opportunity to hear the beautiful music or the wonderful talent that people have. And you can't expect somebody else to be the one to get out there and live your own life. You can't have this thing. We've done programs about this. People say, well, I would be there, but I need a mentor. I would be there, but I need somebody who believes in me. I would be there, but come on. We have programs on all of this. We have a show about I need a mentor, whether that's a myth or not. We have a show about I need somebody to believe in me. We have shows where I go into more detail. But my position is this. If you have a mentor, if you have somebody who believes in you, if you have all of that, great. If you don't, great. You have you. This is your life. Show up for your own life. Be there. And you know what's amazing? Even in those things that you look back and people would say, "Oh, that sounded like that was really embarrassing." You went out there and you tried to do that and you failed, or you failed on national television. You know what? There are people who go out and do stuff, and maybe people, the critics, again, there aren't the people on the sidelines. But you know what? Maybe you learned something about yourself. Maybe you learned confidence. Maybe you learned joy. Maybe you learned what you really are capable of. And there are some people who go out for these reality shows knowing that they don't have talent, and just to get on the air, and then they make that into something where they make themselves famous on that. Like if that was your goal, like that wouldn't be a goal I would necessarily encourage you to, but whatever, if that's your goal. My point is simply this: even when bad, horrible things have happened, I went in the deep end and it turned out, oh, that you're horrible at this, or you messed up. I still learned so much. I met people. I had an experience, and it helped me. Part of the way it helped me is that thing where I'm not sitting around somewhere, I sure wish I'd done this or that. I really regret this and that. Oh, no, I do. I do. And that's part of it, because I don't know. I mean, this may be it. This may be my last day. And if so, I wanted to try to the best of my ability to get everything I could out of this life. And I've been trying, and in making the show, I'm trying. Show up for your own life. mark through the first part of the show title. It says you don't need to be the best because the best doesn't exist, and that gets people caught up in all this stuff: insecurity, fear, perfectionism, all that stuff, self-sabotaging. Focus on just being there. Show up. You will be surprised what you're capable of. You will be surprised of the adventure in life. I talk about this in programs a bit, adventure. And what I mean is just the adventure of life. There have been so many adventures. Part of it is what it sounds like, an adventure. Like, oh, I was in South Africa and on safari, or, I was in Hong Kong and, went out in the harbor or whatever. Like, part of it's just like, like you think an adventure. But the other part of it is just the adventure of life. I met these new people and I went to this place and I had this great thing happen, or I had this horrible thing happen and I learned this and I didn't know that. It's the adventure of it all, of life. Today has been an adventure. Having you here with me and being in this program together is an adventure. It's all exciting. And I don't know what's going to happen because these are all new things. Life is new every day with opportunities to do what, even if it's the same thing you do every day, you could do it differently. Are you doing it for the first time with that client? Are you doing it for the, whatever? Like, it's up to you. It's your life. But I really do. I am begging you to show up. Just show up in your own life. Just be there. You will be amazed. First, at the things you'll learn about yourself that you didn't know. Some of them are going to be really positive and amazing. Some of them are going to be embarrassing and you feel bad, but you wouldn't have known it if you hadn't tried. And you need to be in the arena. And you need to be front and center in your life. And for some of you, that may mean, you know what, you're going to go out for your kids' parent-teacher association and be active in that and not just be on the sidelines. Some of you, it may mean in your volunteer organization, you're going to really step up and take a more active role. Some of you, it may mean taking care of your family full time. You're going to do it in a way that you never even anticipated how successful and amazing it would be. Whatever it is, get on in your arena. So some of you, and it's going to be your living room. Some of you, it's going to be, literally on a stage. Some of you, it'll be your classroom. Some of it'll be, the retail store. I don't care where it is. It's an arena, and you're going to not sit on those sidelines and be some critic and angry, bitter, regret-filled person. You're better than that. I look forward to you sharing with me and our other community members. Contact us and let us know what's going on. Tell me what's happening. Tell me where you showed up. Just be in your own life. And I'm going to mention this as we close the show. I've mentioned, that very recently, and it's only because of the business, because I want this show to reach as many people, and I want to make sure that our community is supported, and that sort of the infrastructure part of this, I give it everything I can, right, to succeed. Social media is not life. I want you to go do it in life. After you do it in life, if it makes you happy, or it's part of your business, then fine, put it on social media as sort of just a postcard from a place you went and an adventure you had. But it's not a substitute for life. It's not a substitute. It's just literally saying you're doing things. And I want you to do things. And I don't want you to do something and then while you're at an adventure, you're running around so worried about social media, you're filming it or taking pictures of it and all that, and you missed life because you were caught up in your smartphone or your tablet. This is a new thing for people who are a little bit older like myself. And by a little bit older, I mean I'm not, I'm over 18, barely. But I go to a music concert and people want to be on their internet thing. Are you serious? You're missing the music. You need to go live life. If part of documenting it, like I said, sharing it with people that you care about in your social media, or if it's, again, part of your business, then you do that as sort of an aside afterwards. It's just, okay, whatever, fine. But the part that's important, that's going to make you live a life that's full of adventure without regret and joy, in pain, but you're going to be resilient, is because you're going to live your own life. You got to live it. And the reason I'm mentioning this when we're doing more shows on this is because there's so many people who are obsessed with, apparently now, well, I can't do this or that because people won't like it. And they literally won't go show up for their own life because they have some weird perspective that people on the internet will not like it, so then they'll stop themselves from doing it. Who cares what people think? That's what the quote, go read that Teddy Roosevelt quote, right? From the speech in Paris, the man in the arena. This is way before the internet, right? He's talking about living your life, live it. Some people like it, some people hate it. Who cares? In terms of the calculus for, am I going to live my life? That's where you don't care. After you live your life, and you, like I said, it's part of your sharing with family and friends or putting it out there. Maybe part of your professional profile online. Fine, but what people think of it is irrelevant because you've already done it. It's done. I did it. I lived that. Now, if somebody wants to say to you, "Oh, you lived that and you lived it horribly," or I can't believe you thought you could do this," all of that, whatever. That's the critic. But you don't even want to think about or engage in any of this stuff until after you do life. And then after you do life, if it's part of, like I said, I do understand professionally and for some people socially. You've got your family and friends and they're really far away and you want to share it with them. Great, that's cool. But you're going to do life and you're going to show up in your own life. And then what what someone else may think is not part of the calculus for whether or not I'm going to go live my own life. You're going to do it. And I want you, and I really do encourage you to share it with me. And as I said, we're going to be rolling out new programs and seminars online for us to have more community members on CourtneyAnderson.com connect with each other. And so when we do that, share it with community members, again, afterwards. Because it's your life, and this is it. Now, do it. Thank you.